Okay, boys, we're gonna fly the unfriendly skies today. Your mission, like you got a choice in this, is you're gonna fly over enemy lines and do whatever you can to cause some chaos. Cause a little destruction. Cause a little excitement. Cause a lot of concern. Then hightail it back here. Well, at least do your best. Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. And this time we're going to give you three little things to look at for the Iron Grenadiers. We've got a special custom unit, an actual figure with his backpack, and another small vehicle with its driver. We have an air assault glider, we have an Annihilator, and we have the Anti-GAVITY Pod, or AGP for short. All of these were most of these, I should say, were built from G1er Customs. They made the glider. The glider was a freebie from when he did his from when they did a second wave of Iron Grenadier vehicles. They had put out the Dominator, the Evader, and the Razorback. All came out at the same time, and if you pre-bought all three of them in a bundle, you got the Air Assault Glider as a bonus. And they, of course, also did the Anti-GAVITY Pod. All the figures present, those are my doing. And we'll slowly cover all of it. We'll start first with the Air Assault Glider. This is based on another design that was frequently done post-vintage for G.I. Joe. The first appearance of the Air Assault Glider was in 2003. And it was unique in its sense due to the fact that the glider that was released then could be designated as a G.I. Joe or a Cobra vehicle. Now, while none of them were ever done up in Iron Grenadier colors, but apparently the fine folks at G1er Customs saw that it could be done with the parts they were using and just decided to make one as a bonus vehicle. I mean, let's face it, if it is true, and it was used by both factions, then obviously Destro, the head of the Iron Grenadiers, and the owner-operator of Mars Industries, they could easily make their own and add in any improvements that they want to have in it. And of course, it doesn't function like the toy one because the wings apparently could fold up or down. So this one only remains static. But it makes a nice little upgraded form from the jump jetpack or even the claw that we've covered in earlier videos as being a winged glider. And of course, if you saw my video on the despoiler, you've seen my Iron Grenadier. This is a different Iron Grenadier figure. And I gave him a little submachine gun with a scope on it. So that way he has a little weapon to take with him. I'm not sure how well he would make use of it, but he at least looks a little more intimidating by having that. Of course, now we'll take a look at possibly one of the silliest figures in the from the vintage line, and that is the Annihilator. These guys are sort of elite troopers for Destro. I didn't realize he's got the same, these guys have the same gun. Just look at the draw. Yeah, the Annihilators are kind of weird because when you look at their color scheme, purple and orange, That really doesn't go with the standard colors of the red, black, and gold the Iron Grenadiers had. But this was how he came. They were famous for the way the helmet on the action figure was shaped. It looked kind of weird. My buddy Hooded Cobra Commander 788 in his review of the Annihilators often thought that the head that would have been inside that helmet could not have been a normal human head. But since I can't get wonky helmets like that, I just settled for a fancy Lego space helmet, and we've got a purple head in there to resemble his visor. And yes, he did come with a helicopter backpack, but since it has no tail rotor or counter rotor, this thing should not work under any circumstances. And of course, right here is the double machine gun that he had. I originally had it where it had a couple of guns plugged into that, but they didn't want to stay in, so I just took them out, and we'll just leave it at that. This one also I had to revise the plans a bit because it was the first backpack I built for a minifigure, and I built it a little too long because it stood on the ground, but his feet did not touch the ground. So it needed a slight revision. But he gets something right perfect on the first time. Of course, I won't say this is perfect, but I do think it's kind of cute looking. All I would need now is a clear base of some sort, and it would make this guy look like he's flying. Now, if any of you out there played the 1993 arcade game for G.I. Joe, you might have recognized that Annihilators were in there as forces of Cobra. So, kind of implying that when Destro came back to Cobra, he did allow some of his troops to join. Of course, that was also seen in the Deke-produced G.I. Joe cartoon. As I remember seeing in Operation Dragonfire that they did appear. That was the pilot movie. And there were Annihilators clearly serving Cobra. And even in the cartoon, they had this backpack. And I still have no idea how it managed to work without spinning them into a dizzy. The only downside to my Lego one is that it's a bit back heavy. See, it doesn't take any effort. And he just falls over, so I'm gonna have to get him a plate to stand on. Of course, if you had noticed on the intro with Larry, I had the rotor blade adjusted so it was resting on the Anti-GAVITY Pod. Now, speaking of the Anti-GAVITY Pod, here it is. This was also one of the first vehicles for the Iron Grenadiers. It came out in 1988. And this basically was Destro's Air Force for the time. At least until the Dominator helicopter tank came out. Yes, you heard me right. There was a helicopter tank. We do have it in Lego form, but we'll show it another time. But this is what they had to make do with for starters. It's basically a small one-man unit that has VTOL engines. That's what these are here. Because you can then rotate them to face forward and give it its forward thrust and flight. It is sufficiently armed. It has a pair of 106mm recoilless cannons here on the front. And then it is also armed with 4 Stung missiles, STUNG is apparently an acronym that stands for Silent Running Titanium Under Radar Negative Gravity Missile. I can see why they call it STUNG for short. Going through all that would definitely twist your tongue. Now apparently this anti-gravity pod has only one advantage when you consider that it has poor energy consumption to its performance. Apparently this thing can turn very sharply and stop on a dime. But apparently it needs a pilot that is specially trained to be able to handle these kind of operations. Which is sort of ironic in this Lego version, because the cockpit section here, this piece that's built in the cockpit, this is a Lego coffin. I'm not joking with any of you. This is actually a Lego coffin. Lego did sell coffins for a brief time. So it's kind of, if he wrecks, he can be buried in it. But we do have its driver. This was one of Destro's troopers. The pilots of the AGP are known as nullifiers. And they basically came in a solid tan uniform with some sort of visor over them. I went with giving him a proper visor because I gave my guy a face. He's got a microphone headset in there. So that way he at least looks somewhat right. Nullifiers are apparently have a 6-hour weight workout every day to maintain their physique and endurance. Because apparently a normal man will get reduced to a gelatinous pulp trying to just do a simple turn in the AGP. Nullifiers, according to their file card, are also fed a diet of high-protein gruel that looks like gray mush and tastes like wet cardboard. And they also constantly have sore muscles and nerves on edge from the stress of driving this monstrosity. So I doubt they get to do much in frontline sales. They just probably stand behind the other Iron Grenadiers and flex or grunt. Or threaten to beat up anybody that won't go along with it. And of course, this is a custom sticker as well that G1er Customs did for the Anti-Gravity Pod. They apparently did two styles, because for a brief time they were also selling these in a 2-pack, because as you can see, it really doesn't consist of a lot of Lego pieces. And apparently if you bought a 2-pack, they would give a different sticker for the other vehicle. So you could kind of like designate one of them as a command vehicle of sorts if you'd like. Unfortunately, I didn't buy that when I bought this one. Mainly because I bought this one while it was doing their closeout, and I was pretty much trying to save money. That way I could buy more of the vehicles. That way I could have more to show off to entertain all of you. All in all, though, I do like how it translated out from its toy counterpart. It is a strange-looking vehicle, but I do like how it came out. And I do know a fair amount of the fans of the Iron Grenadiers will probably like it as well. At any rate, that's my review of an anti-gravity pod, an Annihilator, and an air assault glider. I hope you all enjoyed it. Please do remember that if you love the content that we feature on this channel, Larry and I would certainly appreciate a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And do remember that next week is the holidays, so please do enjoy them and spend it with someone you love. This is Sparkster1701 saying we will catch you all later.